Jackie May here for my fourth and final speech to persuade why you should vote this election year.
Brian?
Oren?
Rachel?
Kate.
Julia.
Nicole.
Harriet.
Joanna.
Okay. Imagine it is 2017 and Donald Trump is in office. He has swept into office and brought with him control of the U.S. Senate and House by promising to ban Muslims from entering our country. In addition, during his tenure, he will likely appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, cementing conservative rule of law for a generation. According to Trump's website, that is his plan. Now, imagine it is 2017 again. Hillary Clinton, pushed to the left by her Vice President Bernie Sanders, sweeps into office, promising to raise income taxes by 50% across the board. She increases government control on health care and appoints 3 liberal Supreme Court judges, switching the balance of power that has been in place since the 80s. Second Amendment rights are tossed out, and according to their website, this is their plan. Both of these scenarios are 100% doable and possible. Trump and Bernie have shown that there is a huge discontent on both sides of the political spectrum. We are often told that this election is the most important we will face to determine the future of our country. Most times, that is simply just election tactics. However, due to unique circumstances in 2016, there can be no question. The 2016 general election is the most important of our lifetimes. Yet, if history holds, according to experts Ryan Enos and Anthony Fowler, only 60% of eligible voters will cast their vote, even in a highly contested election such as this one. This is a tragedy in our country that deems itself the leader of a democracy and can have the effect of denying the winner a legitimate mandate to take office and lead. So now, imagine the scenarios I started with. If either of those scenarios concerns you, let me explain how we got here and why this election is so crucial. All around us, there are constantly changes, political, demographic, and legal. Changes occur all the time. However, it is about once in a generation that many of these forces line up and stand at tipping points, and we are at one of those moments. In 1932, the New Deal ushered a generation of big government. In 1960, the Civil Rights Act upended political parties for 50 years. In the 1980s, the Reagan coalition aligned the politics of the entire U.S. for the past 40 years economically. And now, in 2016, we are ripe for another realignment. Politically, love him or hate him, Barack Obama has done many things during his 8 years in office. According to CBS News, his most important accomplishments included that he passed the Affordable Care Act, the first health care reform in 65 years. He helped to legitimize LGBT marriage rights. He signed a nuclear arms deal with Iran, and he negotiated the TPP. And of course, he is the first black president. This means a pretty severe shift to the left politically. The response by the GOP has literally fractured the party to the point that an outsider like Donald Trump could basically conduct a hostile takeover of the Republican Party from the grip of establishment politicians. Demographically, the country is becoming less and less white. According to the electionproject.org, whites will only make up about 70% of the electorate in 2016, down from 85% in 1992. In fact, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 2014 was the first year that more non-white children were born in the U.S. than white children, which will continue to erode the political power of whites in the future. Finally, according to Amanda Turkle at the Huffington Post, we are sitting at a 4-4 deadlock currently in the Supreme Court. 4 liberals and 4 conservatives. The court has been conservative at least since the 1980s, and with the unexpected death of conservative Scalia and 3 other justices which are over 78 years old, it is highly likely that the next president appoints at least 3 judges and sets the ideology of the Supreme Court for the next 20 to 25 years. That means every law, lawsuit, or policy will be overseen by either a starkly liberal or starkly conservative court. The ramifications are almost unimaginable. The change discussed above shows that this election isn't a choice between change and status quo. In addition to the stated facts, the success of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, outsiders, shows that this election change is not just a slogan, it's a fact. Luckily, you have a remedy, a guaranteed right to mark your choice and vote to choose your own future. But as this visual aid shows, Historically, only 55 to 60% of eligible voters cast a ballot, despite 100% of the U.S. population having to live the results of the election. That means your vote is much more powerful and impactful. Trump can't implement his vision without being elected. Hillary or Bernie cannot implement their vision without being elected. At the end of the day, voting is your choice. It is your ability to judge the state of our country and help determine its future direction, and also fundamental to your citizenship of our storied country. There are two visions presented by this election. They offer vastly different understandings of the world around us, the way the world is developing, and the solutions needed to address that change. We can ignore that changes have occurred and hearken to the policies that drove much of the 20th century U.S. politics and embrace a conservative vision and attempt to make America great again. Or we can admit changes have occurred and embrace those changes by changing our policies as we move into the 21st century. So which vision do you foresee for the rest of the country? Once you choose that vision, I challenge you to act on it. If you believe we need to reach into the policies of our past to forge a more prosperous tomorrow, then vote Republican. If you believe we need to adapt to the realities of the modern world,